What happens when a man spends years building something beautiful, only to have it destroyed overnight? Not by strangers, but by the very people meant to protect the neighborhood? This is the story of how one man's quiet passion became the target of prejudice, and how a woman known only as Karen picked the wrong fight. Because what she didn't know was that the man she tried to crush held the power to end her reign. It all began in a quiet, tree-lined suburb just outside Atlanta, Georgia. The kind of neighborhood where the grass was trimmed, the mailboxes polished, and the homeowners association, the HOA, ruled with an iron fist. In the corner lot of Maplewood Drive stood a modest home, owned by Marcus, a 42-year-old black man who had lived there for nearly a decade. His pride and joy wasn't a flashy car or a swimming pool. It was his garden. Rows of vibrant roses, towering sunflowers, and carefully sculpted hedges wrapped his house in color. For Marcus, that garden wasn't just decoration, it was therapy. After serving in the military and losing his mother, tending to each flower was how he found peace again. But peace doesn't last long when Karen lives across the street. Karen, her real name was Patricia, wasn't just any neighbor. She was the self-appointed enforcer of the HOA, the one who walked around with a clipboard, peeking into yards, and sending complaint letters for the smallest things. Her yard was plain, trimmed, lifeless, but she believed that was proper. And Marcus's garden? To her, it was chaos. Too colorful, too loud. She complained at meetings, citing violations that didn't exist. Neighbors whispered about how obsessive she was, but no one dared challenge her. One summer morning, Marcus stepped outside with his watering can, only to find destruction. His roses cut down, his hedges hacked, soil trampled, flower beds gutted. The place that gave him peace now looked like a battlefield. He froze. Rage, grief, disbelief, all at once. Who could do this? But before he could even process it, a voice rang out. "I told you it didn't belong here," Karen sneered from her driveway. "The HOA has rules. Maybe next time, you'll learn to follow them." Marcus's chest tightened. It wasn't just about flowers anymore. It was about control, about humiliation. His sanctuary, destroyed by someone who saw his joy as a threat. He wanted to yell, but he couldn't. His military training taught him discipline, but the betrayal cut deep. He remembered his mother's words. "They'll try to take what you love, Marcus. Stand tall and never let them." Karen, meanwhile, felt untouchable. She smirked as if she'd won. In her mind, she was protecting her neighborhood. But behind that superiority was fear. The fear of losing control. The fear of difference. The fear of someone who didn't fit her perfect picture. And Marcus knew at that moment that this wasn't just a petty HOA feud. This was a battle of respect, of dignity, of who truly had the right to belong. The next HOA meeting was only days away. Karen walked in, confident, ready to gloat. She'd already bragged to other neighbors that she'd finally put Marcus in his place. Papers in hand, she prepared to argue for his removal from the neighborhood entirely. But when Marcus arrived, he wasn't angry. He wasn't broken. He walked in calm, composed, carrying a single folder. The room went silent. He didn't sit with the rest of the homeowners. He walked straight to the front, past the table, and set his folder down at the head seat. Karen laughed. "You can't sit there. That's for the HOA board." But Marcus simply looked at her. "That's exactly why I'm here." The board members shuffled uncomfortably. Karen frowned. "What are you talking about?" Marcus slowly opened the folder. Inside were documents, signed, sealed, undeniable. Deeds, titles, and something far more powerful. He looked around the room, then directly at Karen. "You thought you could destroy my garden," he said softly. "But what you didn't know..." The room leaned in. Karen's smirk faltered. "Is that you don't own this neighborhood." Marcus paused, letting the silence hang. "I do." Karen's jaw dropped. Whispers erupted. The entire HOA sat in stunned silence. But that was only the beginning. Because Marcus wasn't just revealing ownership, he had a plan that would shake the entire community, and Karen's world was about to collapse. Last time, Karen destroyed Marcus's garden, mocking him under the false authority of the HOA. But during the meeting, Marcus revealed a shocking truth. He owned the HOA itself, and now the tables were about to turn. The room froze as Marcus slid the paperwork across the table. It showed that years earlier, when the HOA was struggling financially, Marcus had quietly bought its debt. That gave him not just a seat at the table, but the final say in every decision. Karen's voice cracked. That's impossible. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. I built my garden with love. You destroyed it with hate. And now the rules you used against me will be rewritten. Marcus opened a folder of photos and complaints. Every note, every harassment letter Karen had sent to neighbors, documented. Families she had bullied into tearing down swings, painting over murals, cutting down trees. Neighbors gasped. For the first time, they saw her not as a protector, but as a tyrant. Karen's face went pale. Her power slipped through her fingers. Marcus stood tall. Effective immediately, Patricia, you're removed from any HOA authority. And as for your behavior toward me and this community, you owe us all an apology. Karen tried to protest, but the board voted unanimously. She had no power left. Then Marcus dropped the final blow. He announced a new HOA initiative, funding for community gardens, art spaces, and neighbor-led projects. What Karen tried to destroy, Marcus turned into a movement. Weeks later, Marcus's garden bloomed again, stronger, brighter, surrounded by neighbors who came to help him rebuild. The same community Karen had divided now stood united. And Karen? She faded into silence, a reminder that power built on hate always crumbles. Marcus knelt by a newly planted rose, whispering to his mother's memory. They tried to take what I loved, but love always grows back.